It's Ryan Grant, Green Bay Packers, and I'd like to introduce the Acme Packers podcast
I am very excited.
I absolutely love the
Yes, sir.
with Packer People 12 and Big B.
Big B, nice to meet you, Big B.
Social media fans if they traded up to get Jordan Love.
Carry the G.
Packers legendary quarterback Brett Hundley.
MySpace and the Cheesehead TV comment.
Okay, that's just stupid.
It's gonna be awesome. Your names are awesome, so everything else is good to go. But let's have fun talking about Packer stuff. Go Pack.
What is going on, everybody? It's Packer People 12 here, and welcome back to the Acme Packers podcast, episode 14. Big B, how are you feeling?
Like $1 million.
Yeah, Jamaal Williams shout Big B out last night, and we really need to make that part of. I think we need to give Jamaal Williams a shout out every episode now, just because pay him back, pay it forward back to Jamaal. So let's talk about NFL news today. We're going to recap all the stuff going on. Really not too much going on outside of the league, but there's actually a lot going on with Packers players, former Packers players, and Packers players the Packers were looking to sign. So first of all, Mike Daniels, former Packers defensive end, signed with Cincy this week, and he also liked our tweet congratulating him. So Mike Daniels forever in our hearts. He's just one of those players, when he goes to another team, you're not really mad about it. You're just proud of him.
Yeah.
Especially because he had that injury in Detroit. He worked so hard all this offseason. He was kind of begging in his IG videos for someone to please notice him, and he finally got a team with Cincinnati. How do you think?
I wish our begging would work that well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we begged Reggie Beggleton, of all people, to come on the show, and he didn't come on. No shade, but, our begging isn't working. But
Yeah.
How do you think Mike Daniels will do in Cincinnati, Bengals uniform?
Well, if he doesn't catch the injury bug, I think he'll do pretty well. I mean, Geno Atkins is there.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a great pair on that D-line. So, yeah.
Yeah, they got a good young team, have some veterans in there, like A.J. Green, Geno Atkins, and now obviously Mike Daniels. They just got the new quarterback of the future, Joe Burrow. John Ross never turned out, so we don't talk about him, but good luck, Mike. Just don't beat us in a Super Bowl if you ever get there one day.
Bingo.
Next, the Packers, last week we talked about it with Susanna. The Packers were interested in signing Everson Griffin, and he did sign with the Packers coach, Mike McCarthy, in Dallas. I did not see the contract details, but very interesting. I guess
It was 1 year, $6 million. And I just want some snacks. So
snacks. But let's just get them this training camp. Let's bring them in, get some help on that interior D line.
Snacks.
Yes,
snacks.
All the snacks we're getting right now is Kevin King salads. I'm going to say that to the end of the time because it's so hilarious. So that's greatness. Brandon Snacks, Brian Gutekunst. Next up, the Seahawks have interest in Clay Matthews, former Packers and now Rams linebacker. I mean, he's getting to the end of it, but Clay Matthews, I mean, if you go back and watch it, I cannot remember Clay Matthews being this much of a beast, but then when I go back and watch a game, I'm like, oh my God. I mean,
he's the all-time sack leader.
Yeah,
So-
the stats obviously are there, but I mean, do you think better or worse? How much do you think his game has slowed down? Do you think he can still be a all-time starting linebacker?
Well, yeah, but of course, everybody slows down, and Clay Matthews definitely has slowed down.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in his last year in Green Bay. He did have a really good stretch with the Rams. I believe it was 5 weeks. He had 5 sacks.
Yeah.
And then he broke his jaw. So that didn't help him. He also he's pretty prone to face injuries, apparently, because he broke his nose during the charity softball game a few years ago.
Apparently.
That was pretty good. That was great off-season news. Like,
Yeah.
if we had a podcast during that time, that would be great to bring in the breaking news that Clay Matthews broke his nose.
I would just make fun of him the entire time. Like I
Yeah.
did.
But we want to end this NFL news off. No, next week we will not be reporting that the Packers sign Antonio Brown. If we sign Antonio Brown next week, I'm going to play that clip when we're talking about it. But No.
I'm gonna shoot myself if that happens.
I mean,
No thanks.
it's going to be hard to be a Packers fan if we have a overpaid wide receiver who's only playing 8 games.
Yeah.
Let's move. Oh, and we're also not slating Clay Matthews. You can keep your hopes alive for BJ Raji, though.
Yes.
Come back, BJ. We miss
Yes.
you. Where have you gone? Where is he hiding for real, though? Like,
I'm
I
not
can't.
sure.
How is he just going to go to his house in, I don't know, Boston with his and I was gonna say his aunt, but it was his aunt that died. But is he just sitting there? Does he still watch football? Maybe it's too hard for him to watch it because he knew how dangerous it was. But we miss you, BJ. We'll have plenty more time to reminisce on BJ Raji. But now we got to move on to the Dallas Cowboys.
Shout out to Maggie Looney, by the way.
Yes, Maggie Loney, BJ Raji, and Zadarius Smith, #1 stan. Now we got to move on, though, to the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Cowboys signed him to a contract this year. He spent a year away from the league, and the Cowboys signed him. It'll be very interesting. I know it's hilarious to me. The NFL Films did something on him. It was him and like a group of 10 old people that were former coaches that were trying to get back in the league. It should be like Mike McCarthy's recruitment old people league of coaches. Yeah. The group of coaches, they get together and I'm sure most of the time they're drinking beers and reminiscing on their times before they were fired. But wishing the best to Mike McCarthy. Let's recap their offseason, though, because they did have quite a few moves, and I'm going to be watching the Cowboys more than usual. Primetime games are always forced down our throat with the Cowboys. But
yeah. I feel like I watch all 16 Cowboys games.
I know,
not on purpose either.
Yeah, just because they're either playing us or they're playing on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night football.
Yeah.
They always got America's Game of the Week because Troy Aikman is messing up something there at Fox.
Mm-hmm.
But even now they got some big names on their team, I guess. Average old players that have fell off, kind of, like we talked about earlier. Everson Griffin, Gerald McCoy, Don Terry Poe. Those are some great defensive tackles there. Alden Smith, Clinton Dix, Greg Zuerlein, Andy Dalton, and CeeDee Lamb with the 17th pick. You're a huge advocate for Clinton Dix.
Clinton Dix was the true GOAT. He was my #1 GOAT. He's the original GOAT. All right.
What were your feelings when he got traded?
Well, I was coming out of school, checked my phone, started crying in the middle of the parking lot. Yeah.
I mean,
don't bring Jamaal Williams either. He's SOB.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of a big fan of for a little bit. I mean, sometime after he left though, and his problems got more relevant. Definitely, I was like, okay, I'm glad we got a 4th round pick out of him. But the start of the year, it was kind of confusing for little old me who didn't understand too much when the guy had 4 consecutive weeks with an interception just got traded. But now he's with.
We got Darnell Savage.
Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos, baby. One former Packer player that wanted to get out of Mike McCarthy as soon as possible, Randall Cobb. He's with the Cowboys this year. He had an option to sign back with the team who has a great wide receiving core now with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. Would have been crazy to have Randall Cobb in the mix there. He went to Houston. And they also lost Jason Witten. I mean, how crazy is this? Jason Witten, he says yeet. He goes to a broadcaster and then he comes back and plays 2 years. Like, that is a little bit confusing there.
Yeah.
Pulling up a little bit of a Brett Favre, just retiring when he wants to be released.
Hey, but at least he went back to the Cowboys.
Good point. Yeah. And he didn't go to the Eagles. Let's talk about record predictions for Mike McCarthy. He's going to have much more of a different role now with Jerry Jones, who's possibly the most hands-on guy compared to Ted Thompson, who kind of just sat back and once in a while he said a word or two. But Jerry is all in with the Cowboys. So what are your record predictions for Mike McCarthy in his first year with the Cowboys, and considering all their signings and losing.
I forgot what my prediction was. I think it was 12-4, but I definitely see them going 13-3.
What?
Yeah, you heard it here. I'm sticking
I
with you.
don't know how I feel about that.
13-3.
I'll go with 10-6. You know,
Right.
as much as I want to hate on the Cowboys, I think they have to be good. I'll give a little bit of credit to Dak Prescott. And I'll give a little bit of credit to Ezekiel Elliott. He's not better than the 3 running backs on our team. He's not even better than Tyler Irvin. So,
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
still a pretty good running back. But yeah, 10-6, winning the division. I don't really have the Eagles or the Giants doing too much. The Washington football team, who cares about them? They're lucky they're even called the football team. That's even a stretch. Now, we talked enough about the Cowboys, but let's talk about the Packers. This is called the Acme Packers training camp. Their first practice is tomorrow, baby. Let's give a round of applause. We are ready.
We made it, boys.
We made it almost. Just
Almost
have
there. One day.
a little over 6 or 7 months until it gets shut down. We just got to get through the 16 games in a Super Bowl. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, considering hopefully it does happen, as we're recording this a few hours later, it might come out that they're pushing it back. But top positions to watch this year at training camp. Let's talk about wide receivers. First of all, that list does not include Antonio Brown. We didn't talk about it at the top of the show, but we also did sign 2 wide receivers, Travis Fulgham from the Lions, who's a 6th-round draft pick, and Malik Turner, who had a workout with the Packers in 2018 during minicamp, and then he ended up signing with the Seahawks. So I don't know if they weren't too impressed or the Seahawks just had a better offer for his undrafted free agent self. But wide receiver depth, this is the biggest question. I know we're all on the Alan Lazard train, but wide receiver 3 through 5, could you give us a set list?
Ooh, a set list. What is it? 3 through 5. Devontae, Lazard, EQ,
Okay.
MBS, and Jake Kumaro.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people love Reggie Begelton. I quite honestly do not see him making the roster at all.
The only way I think he makes the roster is if his blocking is just as good as Jake Kumaro's.
He's going to have to do a lot for the Packers to want to have that 6 wide receiver on the team. He has to add enough to either beat out Jake Kumaro, and like you said, that run blocking would definitely help him out there. Mm-hmm. But I don't see him having more than 5. So EQ, Devin Funches definitely helps out EQ and MVS stepping up there. But I would say I would probably have MVS over EQ to start the year off. Then under him, that's a tough decision. I think Jake Kumaro is definitely up there. He could lose his spot to either Reggie Begelton, maybe Travis or Malik. Just impressed that much.
Maybe Jamaal Williams. Maybe he'll switch.
Who knows? Ty Montgomery did the opposite a few years ago. Who knows? And he becomes the star wide receiver on the team. A lot of ball game left.
Yeah, you never know.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if he becomes star wide receiver? Devontae gets hurt, or he has COVID for a few weeks. Jamaal comes in there, wide receiver 5, and he starts all the way up to wide receiver 2. He pushes down Alan Lazard, and all of a sudden he's at 8,000 yards.
I would be a very, very, very happy boy.
We can see it. I can see it coming. Makes a lot of sense. Very realistic expectations.
Kind of. Okay.
Okay. We've talked so long about these wide receivers. Let's talk about the right side of the offensive line. We brought in Rick Wagner, negotiated a better contract with Lane Taylor, and obviously we have the burden of Billy Turner, who might be the next Jimmy Graham, playing just because of his big boy contract.
Yes.
Who do you think starts week 1 for right guard?
Oh, right guard. To start, it's probably Billy Turner.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of expect that, but in how do I put this? When we get in the later weeks, I think Lane Taylor will definitely take over that job.
Yeah, Lane Taylor, if not just for the fact because he's been here so long. I mean, he's been in this same system as Turner for the same amount of time, but he's been here since 2015. He's been here for a long time. I know he was here for the Hail Mary, because he was in on that play. But just because he's been here so long, has more experience, and definitely outplay him. I think in practice could be pretty easy for him. Definitely going to be pretty interesting to see how Turner performs, how that ends up. We also got 3 rookies. I know we're both big fans of the 3 Musketeers, my new nickname. Let's move on to the defense. Defensive end. Interesting position here. I couldn't even tell you who our defensive ends are outside of Dean Lowry.
Yeah.
It's so much up for grabs. Yeah, I mean, Kingsley Kiki's there. Still have no idea why we didn't keep Gary at defense end. I know it was in a 4-3, but it is what it is. Now, this is probably inside linebacker and cornerback. I'm probably most concerned about these 2 positions right here. We have the starter on both of them. You got Kristen Kirksey, you got Jair Alexander. Then after that, it's kind of getting to guys like, okay, we've seen a little bit of them, but are they really ready to go out there and start covering it? I mean, we got Kevin Keene at corner 2.
I was about to say disrespect to Kevin King.
I know. I kind of forgot about him for a second there. But, yeah, Kevin Keene out there, Chandon Sullivan, Josh Jackson. I'm excited for Raven Green. He's kind of using that dime back rule. You know, he plays safety, cornerback / inside linebacker. So he plays it all in that middle of the field range. Definitely be interesting to see who takes over for inside linebacker 2.
Ty Summers. Big fan of Ty Summers.
Big fan. I played Xbox with him. So I would love to see him, TCU alumni. Let's talk about who needs to break out this year. Short and off season. Who's going to step up? It's going to be hard for those younger, unproven, undrafted free agents to make their name on the team. But who would be most important to break out this year to help the team?
All right. I'm going to go with Chandon Sullivan.
Interesting.
Yes.
I think it has to be one of the wide receivers. I'm hoping it's EQ. I think the more realistic option is MVS, but he was there all last year. EQ wasn't. He's on IR for most of the year.
No.
And MVS didn't do too much. He didn't get on the field too much, at least. They had Jake Kumro going out there over him, which no shade to touchdown Jesus, but that interesting moves right there and says a little bit about MVS's performance on the practice field.
Yeah.
Now, you're so excited for the subject. I just know you are.
Yes.
Big B gets a shout out from his man, Jamaal Williams.
Yes. Last night was amazing.
Slept in your Jamaal Williams jersey. Here you are. You're wearing it right now.
I am.
Yes. I wish I could see it. It's a BYU jersey. This isn't no Green Bay Packers. This is BYU, people. This is OG, authentic Jamaal Williams legend. Yeah. What were you thinking? Like, did you expect? So let's explain a little bit. Game on Wisconsin, our buddies, friends of the show, they had their show last night with Jamaal Williams. So Big B was obviously in the chat, as always, talking about how Jamaal Williams is the GOAT. So what were you thinking? Did you have any preparation? Were you taking any notes on what your plans were to say or any reactions to Jamaal's comments beforehand?
Absolutely not. I was not expecting that much to be shouted out by the GOAT. I got shouted out 3 times by Jamaal. I was only expecting like a little bit and then move on and then never talk about me again. But no, Jamaal Williams saying my name about 15 times. Amazing.
I know.
Still waiting for my money too, by the way.
78 overall.
I appreciate it, Big B.
Doing Jamal
Thank you.
dirty. That's right.
Thank you.
Luke said you got faster
I
this
have to give
offseason.
him like 2 cents, 2 pennies for every comment. Every comment.
Oh, you're gonna
You'll
go
be broke.
man.
You'll be
Don't do
broke.
that.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I started with 2 cents because I'm like, he be throwing them comments out, them compliments, trying to make me feel good. Hey, if they said we could bring one person to the game, I'll bring Big B. Just know he gonna be my boy.
Yeah.
He gonna be like, Jamal's the GOAT. Yeah.
He said, I'll give you 2 cents for every comment. I'm still waiting for it. I haven't been PayPal'd yet, so.
He needs to be careful with saying that because not only have you would have like, I would estimate maybe around 1,000 just at this point. If he offers that, if he puts that on the table, you will go into like music video premieres and start typing that random stuff like that.
Yes.
This is a serious event, Jamaal. Pay this man. I think the greatest thing was when, I guess for COVID, they might be able to bring one person to a game, one family member. Maybe they'll be in the suite. And I guess I'll roll the clip if I can find it. But that is quite the offer.
Right when he said that, I started heavy breathing. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. I was freaking the fuck out. I was
my
going
God.
crazy.
Yeah, this needs to be the biggest story in the Packers news headlines for years. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're starting with Cheesehead TV. Now you're with Game On Wisconsin. You have your own show now. We need to start getting you everywhere. You need to start coming in on like the old people sites like PackersNews.com or USA Today, commenting stuff on that. Hopefully they don't have an Andy Herman-esque response, but
Never talk about Andy Herman ever again. Andy Herman.
I just brung down the mood so much.
You did.
Oh my God. You just stopped. I guess we'll move on from Andy Herman. Sorry, Andy. Sorry if I was being a little feisty there. Oh, man. So many great characters. We'll end off Jamaal. Hopefully we get to see you at a Packers game this year. If not with Jamaal, just with your tickets there. Great stuff from Jamaal Williams. Thank you, Jamaal.
Yes.
Now we need to talk about probably our favorite character of all time. We've had a lot of random people. We've had Tim O'Dia.
Mike Spofford. Mike frickin' Spofford.
Mike Spofford. Pretty much any Packers writers or reporters. Bill Huber, Tom Silverstein, Wes Hockwitz. So many great characters, but this one might be the greatest of them all. Not over Tim O'Dia, but Tom Pigeon.
Tom the GOAT Pigeon Boys.
This guy is just, there's so much to Tom Pigeon, this complex. I don't know, if you haven't watched the Packers Legacy series yet, definitely recommend it.
Yes.
But Tom Pigeon, he's featured in there, and he's just a Lambeau Field tour guide. Everybody else is like a historian or a writer. Tom Pigeon's just a Lambeau Field tour guide. That is what's so special about Tom. You see, he's been a Packers fan since the 40s and 50s, right around the time Aaron Nagler was born. And he's been a Packers fan since then. He's been collecting. He started his collection off with newspapers, and he's collecting everything since then too. He also has like some new school stuff too. Most old people like that collect stuff. They're so complacent. Oh, I want Bart Starr and Tobin wrote stuff and magazine.
I want Bart Starr and Tobin wrote stuff. I don't have enough of that old school stuff in my collection.
Yeah, I know, but old people like Tom sometimes are a little bit too complacent.
Yeah.
They have hatred for like new stuff. But this dude, Tom Pigeon, he has like Aaron Rodgers McFarlane collectibles that you can find at Target, which I love. I love that. Me and Big B. Big B has the away jersey, and I have a throwback. But
Yeah, I don't know why I got him.
he
either.
collects them. He also collects the Brett Favre McFarlanes.
Yes.
Tom is a legend. I definitely recommend looking him up, watching Legacy, and watching his videos he did with Packers.com. So, Tom, you're always open to come on the show. Always a seat open here for you.
Yep.
Always a seat open for Tim O'Dia and Brett Hinsel as well.
Yes.
And if we're really lucky, Mary Jane Herbert.
Mary Jane, boys.
She just loves life. You can
Yeah.
tell. And I think that's a good place to end it off. A shout out
Yeah.
to Tom Pigeon. We really want to get a Lambeau Field tour with Tom. So hopefully we can make that happen. That's why you got to subscribe. That's why you got to follow us on Twitter so we can get our names out there and meet our buddy Tom Pigeon.
Yes, and if that happens, a lot of content.
Lot of content. Yeah, we're hiring a professional film crew and everything to follow us around. You won't even know what hit you.
Yes. Let's
Thank you, everybody, for watching episode 14 of the Acme Packers podcast. Make sure you head over to our website. This whole week, we're putting out articles. This past week we did. I'm just about to write an article about breakout players. So make sure you head over there. Every weekday, we should have a new article coming out, especially as training camp's ramping up. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Peace.